Anybody who criticizes somebody else for wanting to improve themselves is a loser. I'm sorry, you're a loser. You are. I hate to tell you this, but like, you're a fucking loser. What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to not give a fuck what other people think. This is something, I think I'm pretty good at this. I don't know, just my personal opinion of myself. I could be totally wrong. But not caring what other people think is something I think it's very important, especially if you want to achieve any sort of, if you want to get to a high level in anything, you're going to have to do a lot of things that are going to make normal people look at you and think that you're weird. And that perception is going to come out usually in some sort of comment from them, where they're going to talk about you behind your back and they're going to say you're weird, and it can potentially hinder you from doing what you actually want to do. And honestly, most of the time, they don't even say anything. A lot of the times you do something that you are afraid somebody's going to criticize you for, and they actually think it's pretty cool. And that's an unexpected reaction. At least that's happened to me many times, where I've been afraid of telling somebody about something that I was doing or something that I was working on, because I was afraid they were going to judge me, or I was afraid they were going to check it out and think it was stupid or low quality. And I can't really think of that many people who have who thought that way. It has happened before, for sure, and usually it happens with people who are just kind of jealous that they're not doing anything, really, to be honest with you. But anyway, let's talk about that in a minute, because let's just do this in an organized way. I'm all over the place. I'm still on my first cup of coffee. So, how to not care what other people think. The first thing that you need to do is you need to start putting yourself out there in some capacity, right? Because in order for you to not care what other people think, other people need to think something, right? And for them to think something, they need to be exposed to some sort of like stimulus of, them knowing what you're doing. So I can only talk about my own experience, I guess, as, I used to write a lot and now I make videos. But for me, the real beginning of not caring what other people thought was when I was like between 13 and 17. I used to play this text-based role-playing game called a MUD. If any old school people, early days of the internet gamers out there remember what a MUD is. It's basically a game with no pictures. There's only text. So instead of, a graphical game, a 3D game where you would, you control the character and you walk forward and backwards and you equip different weapons and whatever, all the shit that you do, you would have to type in all of the commands, and you would be returned, instead of seeing the environment, there would be room descriptions in text. Instead of you waving, your character waves, you would type in wave, and then it would say Bob waves or whatever. So this was a very interesting experience for me growing up. I don't think I've really ever talked about this, but this was kind of, how do I even really explain this? Basically, you're role playing, right? So you are kind of putting yourself out there, but it's not really you because you're playing a character, but because it's you who's playing the character, it is still kind of you. So it's this weird, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, I'm role playing this person. So it's not me, but actually a lot of the times I'm responding as how I would respond. So anyway, it's kind of weird, and it's a great way to simulate real world behavior without actually being in the real world, because you're just typing everything out in text, and you would do something and then other people would respond, and then you could gauge their, whether or not what you did was good or appropriate based on their response. And then as an added layer of complexity to this whole interaction, there were forums about the game. So everybody would play the game, and then we would go on the forums. It was a fairly small community. It was maybe, I don't know, peak time would be 150 players maybe at once in the game, and maybe a total of, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 total who were playing, maybe less than that, maybe 500 who would play and be in and out in various, to various degrees, I guess, with various frequencies. So anyway, we'd all go on the forum and then we'd all argue about the game. And we'd argue, say like, well, no, in this situation, somebody should have done this because it's better role playing, and like these mechanics are no good. So it was a taste for me. And this is, when was this? Like pre-2001. This was like 98 to 2003, maybe, that this was all going on. So this is before Facebooks, before Reddits, before like any of these forums where people would actually argue. I mean, there were forums, there was just no social media really. So anyways, I kind of like got my feet wet in the whole like arguing with people on the internet and saying whatever it is that I wanted to say, and being judged for it, because that's just what it is. And I'm like a 15-year-old kid at the time arguing with adults. So it got me to the point where, and don't get me wrong, I didn't start out, you know, I remember I would write a post sometimes and I'd be so nervous to hit the submit button. I'd like write it, I'd go over it for like way longer than I needed to. And I would hit the submit button, and then, you know, the day would pass and I would go and I would check it again and I would see all the responses. And it would kind of make me nervous to read the responses because I was younger back then and more hot-headed and more impulsive, and I had stronger opinions about things than I do now. I'm a little bit more chill now. But it was a very good taste for me to kind of put my ideas out there and see what the response was. Now back then I was a little too young to really understand that most people were not like me. And this is something that you realize when you're older, is that you kind of, the more, or at least, I don't know, maybe it's different today with the internet and people are just exposed to a lot more different types of people, you know, quickly today. But back then it didn't really hit me that most people were not like me until I got much older. So step one is to put yourself out there, right? Some sort of communication with other people. And most people do this anyway with social media. You comment, you make posts, like you're putting yourself out there a lot more than you were before the internet, for sure. Most people are. But the point is that to do it more, right? Instagram, Facebook, like whatever you want, you have to put your ideas out there. It's easier to do it when it's younger. When you're younger, it's harder to do it when you're older, especially the longer that you know people. The second thing to I guess understand about not giving a fuck what other people think, is that most people who end up criticizing you, in my experience, if you are motivated and you're focused on self-improvement and you have goals and you're trying to improve yourself as a person by various metrics, trying to make more money, trying to get in better shape, trying to, you know, ascend in, you know, trying to improve your craft, trying to like get a better rank in society, I guess, whatever that means. You have some sort of goal. Regardless of what that goal is, there are people who are going to criticize you for it. And you have to understand that most people who criticize you are probably going to be losers who aren't doing anything. That is likely the case. And this is something that I see over and over, right? And I'm not saying that like everybody who disagrees with me is a loser, but as somebody who is very interested in self-improvement and actually tries to make himself better in various ways, like on a regular basis. It's not just like something I do casually here and there, or like I read a book on it once and I haven't touched it in 10 years. Like everything I do every single day, I'm trying to push in some way to do it better or to make myself better. Maybe not everything, but at least with some things every single day. Or it's at the front of my mind and I am working on it. So the point is that when you take somebody like that and you start expressing those ideas, those like self-improvement colored ideas, let's call them, you're going to experience a lot of pushback from other people. Anytime you tell people, you know, whatever, like let's call them conservative ideas where you're responsible for your own destiny and you have to crawl your way out of the shit and like make something of yourself, you're going to attract a lot of flack from other people for various reasons. But you have to understand that most people who criticize you without providing any sort of argument when you are expressing yourself, let's call it, if the expression of these ideas comes from a place of you wanting to better yourself as a person, then you can be okay with the fact that then the criticism doesn't bother you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because the people who criticize, anybody who criticizes somebody else for wanting to improve themselves is a loser. I'm sorry, you're a loser. You are. I hate to tell you this, but like you're a fucking loser. So your opinion doesn't really matter, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. The way that I realized this was not from the game, but this is from, you know, I used to post links to this blog that I had on this website called Steemit. And I know some people watch my videos from Steemit, but not a lot. I was pretty outspoken on this website. It was a cryptocurrency blogging platform. I've talked about it a few times, but basically it's this one, when the whole blockchain boom was happening, it was this platform where people would essentially get paid to post content, right? And every account is worth a certain amount of this like crypto called Steem. It's really complicated, but I'm giving you like the basic idea. And if you posted something or you made a comment, people could upvote or downvote your content, and you would either make money or lose money based on that, right? So if you posted something and it was really good, or subjectively really good as judged by some powerful accounts, then they would upvote you with a certain amount of power and you would make money. And there are people who made a lot of money doing this. So when I came onto this website, I realized what was happening, because it became very clear to me very quickly that the only, I called it a circle jerk, right? Because the powerful accounts there, they would pretty much only upvote content that was positive towards the platform. And it had nothing to do with the quality of the writing, had nothing to do with the quality of the content. People were posting garbage there. It was unedited. It was low effort. It was just like, okay, here's pictures of my backyard, and like, Steem is the best. It's going to be the future. Like, go Steem, go. I'm telling everybody about it. Like, here's my breakfast. And they would make not a lot of money, $5, $10 from a post like that. And meanwhile, I, have a writing background. I think I'm a pretty intelligent guy. Did not see anybody really writing anything that good on that site. Here and there, you would have some people who would write something pretty good, occasionally, but nobody was actually taking it seriously because the reward wasn't there. So I saw this, and I was making a lot of money at the time. I think I was making more money than I've ever made in my life at the time. I was crushing it as a cryptocurrency marketing consultant. So like, random little job that I had, I guess, once, not to get too into it, but I would consult for blockchain startups and tell them how to do marketing and how to get investors for their coin. Don't want to get too into that, but that's basically what I did. So I was making a ton of money from that. And I saw this website as an opportunity for me to finally get some attention for writing things, because I'd had blogs in the past, I'd write articles, nobody would fucking read them, and they would sit on the internet and gather dust, and it was kind of demotivating. So I saw Steemit as an opportunity for me to pay to boost my own posts and get a lot of exposure. There's probably better ways of doing this. I could have, done Facebook ads to promote a blog post or something like that, but didn't really think of it at the time. This is what I had in my hand, and that's what I did. So I would pay literally hundreds of dollars to push these posts to the top of the trending page, and they would get a ton of exposure, and they were really very mean, I guess you could say, very inflammatory towards most of the people using the website, because I called them out on their bullshit and said, your platform is a bunch of fucking shit, and the only reason people are making money here is because they're writing things that you want to read, that like Steem is the best, and you're giving them $5 as a reward for posting this fucking empty bullshit unedited propaganda. So I basically called everybody out for doing that, and I didn't do it just once or twice. I would write like 5,000 word posts, like heavily edited. To this day, the website has been gutted since then. It's taken over by fucking random Korean cryptocurrency people. I don't even really know like what's called it, but if the posts are still up, I'll post some links to them. You guys can read them if you want, if you're interested. Anyway, I did this a lot, and I would get a lot of flack from these people. And the point of this story is that I believed in what I was saying. I believed that the message that I was promoting was true in the most pure sense of the word, that these people were posting garbage and they were only getting rewarded because the top people who controlled all the money liked reading things that stroked their ego and stroked the ego of the site and like promoted the coin and potentially raised its value. And not because the content was any good. The content was trash, in my opinion. And the site would not survive if there was not actually good content posted there, like the stuff that I was writing. So anyway, the point is that eventually I would read, I would like, somebody would post a mean comment, oh my God, you're such an asshole, this and that. And I would look at their account and the stuff that they were posting, and I would see 99 times out of 100, this person was a fucking stupid idiot, and like, they did not deserve any sort of, like, I had no reason, I would have no reason to take anything they said seriously. So who the fuck cares what they think? Because they're fucking losers, no offense. And like I said, I know some people follow me from there, and the ones who have followed me are more intelligent than like the fucking random like Pakistani fucking bad English blogger who's like, Steam #1, like go Steam. Please upvote, sir. No offense, any Pakistanis who watch this, I don't think any do. So that's number 2. Number 3, and I guess this is the most important one, is that, and it's kind of a combination of the last two, is that you need to put your face out there, right? And I kind of said this earlier, but the best way to not give a fuck what people think is to jump headfirst into the water, so to speak, and expose yourself in as uncomfortable a way as possible by literally getting your face out there, and also your body. You know, it definitely helps. Something I should actually do more. But you know, I guess we all have our insecurities, and like it's not easy to put your face in a video or show your body in a video and show off. Like, I don't care how narcissistic you are, it's not that easy. So anyway, making YouTube videos, you know, I've got fucking so many, and I guess this is actually kind of the same as the last point, where, you know, one of these days I'll make a video on my most hated videos, and there are a lot of them, because I would basically post my opinion based on my rational thought and what I perceive the truth to be based on facts. A lot of my hated videos were about eating disorders, girls who had eating disorders, who had anorexia, and would go and make these YouTube videos and kind of dance around the fact that they were anorexic, or like dance around the fact that they weren't actually trying to get better, and they were just kind of paying lip service to the fact that they were, you know, in, what do they call it, in recovery or in therapy. And I called them out for what it was, and I said, you know, just eat these foods and stop being a victim, things like that, and you'll actually get better. And, you know, I've got like to dislike rate. So anyway, the point is that I guess the first step is that you need to figure out what it is that you want to say, right? What do you actually want to say? Like, when you think about it, what is the message that just feels like it's being pulled out of you? You just blurt it out, like that's the truth. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is you have to analyze, is this coming from a place of truth? Is it actually coming from a place of truth based on logic and facts? And that, you know, is subjective, I guess, but you have to do your best to analyze if that is actually the case, because that's kind of the key to whether or not you can defend yourself, I guess, against any criticism. Because if it's coming from anywhere other than a place of truth and logic and facts, you're going to get torn to pieces, and it's going to feel bad and it's going to hurt. So you need to identify, is it actually coming from a place of truth? Then the third part is to just get yourself out there and say whatever it is that you have to say, and kind of see what happens. So last, I guess, a little bit, because I'm running out of space on my phone, but anyway, this is something that I see Greg Doucette actually do quite a bit, is that the guy says whatever it is that he has to say, and even when he gets flack from other people, he is not shy to make video after video after video defending his position, because he really believes in what he's saying, and he believes that what he's saying is the truth. So, you know, the truth is its own defense. And just because people don't like it, or just because it hurts their feelings, or just because they react negatively to it, does not mean that you should not speak the truth. And this goes, you know, not just for fitness. I think it goes for political issues, for social issues, you know, fucking all this like healthy at every size. I think a lot of, you know, racial issues. I think it would be, you know, good to talk about this stuff more. But there are a lot of things that people don't want to talk about, so because it hurts their feelings, and the media and all that. There's a lot of, you know, you have to be honest enough that you can get through to people, but you don't want to get too big, because then you attract the attention of the establishment, and they will do everything that they can to crush you. So that's my video on how to not give a fuck. What do you guys think about that? Let me know. Leave me a comment. Peace.